What's on, everyone? Jeremy here from The Quartering, and Walmart has had enough. Walmart has had enough of youths, young people going in there, stealing stuff, skip scanning, which it seems to be everybody doing that, and a whole variety of other things. And of course, where would we be without the mothers to say that their poor young son didn't do anything wrong? Well, Walmart just made a fool of this person who went on a press tour to say their son was falsely accused of shoplifting, when in fact, they were shoplifting. I know you're shocked. This story has so many twists and turns, so many hilarious things to talk about, and I can't wait to get into it. I don't know when I'm uploading this video, but the 16th is the last day to order. Well, you leave a like if you could celebrate no more ads about gift boxes. But the 16th is the shipping cutoff. Promo code HOLIDAY15 until they're gone. If you haven't got it yet, get it today. If it's after that day, well then celebrate not having to hear about them anymore. We're almost sold out across the board. So if they're here when you come to coffee.com, pick yours up. They may be gone by then. My son made a simple mistake at Walmart self-checkout. Could have happened to anybody. Then he was dragged away in handcuffs. Here's what really happened and why you should never use them. Look, I don't think people should really be used. I don't think Walmart should have ever had any self-checkout. I knew that this was going to be a massive problem. Like, everyone knew this was going to happen. A mother whose son was slammed to the ground and handcuffed after being accused of shoplifting at Walmart has shared a shocking reason she insists her good boy was innocent. Jeremiah Wartuba had just finished shopping at the retailer's in Liberty, Missouri store with his family on November 30th when a police officer tackled him to the ground and accused of him stealing. The store allegedly claimed that Jeremiah and his 17-year-old brother, Isaiah, failed to scan and pay for items in their respective carts, also known as skip scanning. Video captured by the family showed Jeremiah was handcuffed and taken into police custody as his relatives pleaded his innocence. Now, I'm just going to skip down a little ahead, show you the individuals in this story. By the way, white people steal all the time too. It's just, I never see the videotape of it. I never see their parents saying they were good boys who didn't do anything wrong. And when I do, send them to me. I'll make fun of them too. The store associate claimed Jeremiah and his 17-year-old brother failed to scan and pay for items in their respective shopping carts. Video captured by the family showed how Jeremiah was handcuffed, but their mother, Vaquandra, a former employee of the very same store, has told the Daily Mail a cashier had assisted the boys during checkout. Our registers were flagged multiple times. A worker eventually went over and helped my oldest son, Isaiah, scan practically his whole basket. Well, not everything. She said, adding that afterwards the cashier helped him complete his checkout. Jeremiah then checked immediately. He checked out immediately after his brother paid with Cash App and began to exit the store accompanied by his family, but was ultimately also apprehended by police. A store asset protection agent determined that the family failed to pay for a carton of tea and some candy. But Vaquanda suggested there may have been some tampering during the investigative process, so they were set up by a white cop. Now, there is, I'm being fair here, there is obviously some level of possibility they just legitimately forgot to scan something. I've never done that, but what if, like, let's say you had two items and they were like stuck together. There's a whole bunch of possibilities where I'd be like, oh, okay, you scanned 18 of the same thing and one of them didn't scan. It probably happens. But this is not that. This is an entire thing of tea and candy. Now, I scanned everything in my effing basket. I got the receipt on my effing phone. The good boy who never did anything wrong yelled. Another relative added, "You're arresting the wrong person." The family was taken to Asset Protection Office, where staff searched through the items in Isaiah and Jeremy's carts, she recalled. Although the boys had shopped separately on different registers, Vaquanda alleged that the asset protection officer had combined their baskets, which would be fine if you had both receipts and you were going down the list anyway. The investigator determined that all of the items in Isaiah's basket had been paid for, but claimed that 9 items from Jeremiah's basket were not paid for. They pointed down to his items and said, all of these items were not scanned and were not paid for, all items. Now, let's see what mom has to say here. I won't even play the video because I'm sure it's full of expletives. Now, is it possible? Look, they were doing grocery shopping with their family, so unless they were paying for it, you might say, like, I'm willing to give these youths some level of grace here because, like, if it's not like if they were paying for themselves, sure. If they were paying for mom, then why is your parents' money? Why are you worried about stealing? However, Asset Protection had verified Isaiah's purchase against his receipt, but said there were no receipt for Jeremiah's transactions, despite the teen claiming it was in his shopping bag. Oops. They still had not printed out a receipt for Jeremiah's transaction, she told the Daily Mail. They didn't have any proof or evidence, to match up his items. They just blatantly said he didn't scan them. He threw them in the basket. He stole these items. Well, I assume they watched it on camera. Vaquanda, who said she raised her children to always do the right thing, knew in her gut that Jeremiah wouldn't have taken those products without paying. She walked out of the office, went over to Jeremiah, and demanded he hand over the receipt, but of course he couldn't find it. Jeremiah, according to his mother, said, I paid for my stuff. You can look at my phone. Pull up Cash App. So he pulled up his Cash App and pulled up the history there, and we found that there was a transaction made at Walmart at the same day at 3:01 p.m. Now, that does not mean he didn't skip scan, but it does mean he did pay for something. Okay, so I think this is all indicative of Walmart just having enough, getting ripped off. That's kind of the overarching part of this story. So we'll get to that part. She presented the transaction to the asset protection team, but investigators reportedly doubled down on their claim that a receipt did not exist because the teen had not scanned any of the items. Vaquanda said Walmart staff seemed confused, so the responding officers stepped in and suggested they find surveillance footage of Jeremiah at the register, which, I would agree. I'm with Vaquanda on this. She claimed they ultimately did find, they ultimately found Jeremiah's receipt and footage of his transaction, which confirmed that his full basket had been paid for. Interesting. Asset Protection, however, did find $5 worth of unpaid items, peppermint sticks, and a container of sweet tea among the family's multiple shopping carts. The discrepancy was resolved at the store, and Walmart did not press charges. So they did steal 2 items. They did steal 2 items. Now, benefit of the doubt here, okay? Because the bigger story is Walmart's just sick and tired of getting ripped off. They're kids. They're not paying attention. They think they scan it. They got their headphones on. They didn't hear the beep or the boop or the bloop or whatever happens when you scan it. Do I think that this kid was trying to get over on Walmart with a peppermint stick? Probably not. Probably not. But it shows that. Now, do I think you need to slam somebody down and put them in handcuffs? Probably also not, unless they're running, right? The boys, to their understanding, they thought that I had already paid for the tea because I told them to get the tea, she told the Mail. So I'm assuming that during the scanning, the tea didn't get scanned. The associate didn't scan the tea or notice anything with the tea. As far as the peppermints, Jeremiah said he left the peppermints at the register, so we are not sure how the peppermints even got into the equation. So they were planted. The case of the planted peppermints. Could have happened to anybody. The planted peppermints, it could have happened to anybody. I understand. She said the mishap with the tea was an honest mistake and did not need to result in their family being harassed. Fine. If you just didn't pay for tea, whatever. I worked at the very same Walmart last year, so I know the protocol. And I know how you're supposed to approach a customer, especially at self-checkout. We feel there's something that could have been avoided with a different approach. These boys, they are not thieves. They're good kids. They work hard. They both have jobs. They have no intent to steal anything. Well, we just had a team of football players who all had 0 prior arrests go into a Dick's Sporting Goods in Florida. And I believe 9 of them were arrested. This is really a part of and you know what? I hope these kids were innocent, But if we look at like Walmart self-checkout now, they're pulling them all. Well, they're pulling them all from big cities. Walmart removes self-checkout from select stores. what stores do you think they selected? What stores do you think they're selecting? You know, and like, if we look at this problem, is it really, I mean, like, do we need to really have 10 extra LP officers? Because you want to save a few bucks on not having enough. I mean, to be honest, Walmart should staff enough people so that you can go through the registers. Now Walmart uses a hidden trick to catch shoplifters and skip scanning. You know, woman claims she didn't know about the $111 worth of skip scanning items at Walmart. Here's a Houston man charged with skip scanning at Walmart. You know, a Rome man also skip scanned at Walmart. Like, it's like you give people a modicum of trust and they just blow it up immediately. Polk County principal skip scanned at Walmart. A woman caught skip scanning $74 at Walmart. I mean, these are all from this year. Like, I know times are tough, but pay for your food. And you have a lot of people on like TikTok and other places kind of glamorizing this nonsense too. The whole thing is just sad. And Walmart's just sick and tired of getting ripped off. And who could blame them? You know, because as Hassan Piker would say, there's no real victims. But the reality is all of us are, because they just jack up the prices on the rest of us to make up for it. That's the way it really works. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you leave a like on it. If you haven't yet, please subscribe or follow down below. And we'll talk to you again real soon.